After teaching sales and lead generation, specifically on cold email and LinkedIn for a while now, I've realized that a lot of people who try it, they don't get the results they're looking for. Here's how it usually happens. They'll go online, they find a template that they think is good, copy it exactly, replace the words with their product and service and their name, make a big list, send it out, and then nobody responds. Then they go back and they say, oh, template doesn't work, LinkedIn doesn't work, cold email doesn't work, nobody's responding to me. Why? Problem in this situation is that they're blaming everything external, right? They never realize that it's actually their own fault. And after training thousands of people around the world in all different types of industry, I've realized that the reason for why most people can't get results when it comes to lead generation is that they make the same common 3 mistakes. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna show you exactly what these 3 mistakes are, how you can fix them so that you can start getting results when it comes to sending cold emails and LinkedIn messages. And you wanna make sure you watch this video until the end, because if you miss out on what these 3 mistakes are and you don't know how to fix it, doesn't matter if you send 100 or 1,000 emails and LinkedIn messages, you can't get the results because you're making the same fundamental mistakes. So make sure you watch this video until the end to make sure that doesn't happen to you. And if you're ready for this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to see more lead generation videos like this, and let's get started. The first mistake most people make when it comes to lead generation is that they are going too broad, right? So when you're working at a company, or maybe you have your own business and you're selling some type of service, sometimes when you're writing your email, you might be able to do a lot of different things for your customer. And so because you believe you have all these, like a menu of options, you want to put that all in the email. And that's the big mistake most people are making. So when I review emails that people send me and they want feedback, I read it and I look, wow, they'll say they can, design a website, they say they can run ads, they can do this, they can do that. They try to put so many options in their email that, they think that when they send it to somebody, someone's gonna think, oh, that's exactly what I need, and that's how they're gonna get the meeting. But it doesn't work, because when you're going too broad and you're saying you can do everything and you're for everyone, you're not for anybody and nobody is going to respond. So instead of going so broad, you wanna think very niche. And yes, your product or service, maybe you can do all these things, but when you're sending out your cold email, you gotta focus on one industry at a time, focusing on one specific use case, one specific pain that you can solve. So that way, when people read it, they think to themselves, this guy really understands me, he knows my problems, he knows my industry, and he doesn't feel like a waste of time. So I'm gonna take a meeting with him to see what he or she is all about. And if the more specific you are, and you know that person has a specific pain that you are looking to solve, then they're gonna respond to your email a lot more. So instead of going broad, think about how to go niche. How do you solve one specific problem and really get that person to respond to your email? The second common mistake I see so many people make is that they talk too much about themselves. I remember I was reviewing one of my students' emails, and basically the email was like, hello, my name is, my company is, I do this, and I'm so great at this. And I empathize where he's coming from, right? Because a lot of times we would naturally want to talk about how great we are and how great our products and services are. But when it comes to cold email, people don't care about you, they care about themselves. They care about how you can bring value into their lives. They don't care, what your products and services are. They just care about you solving their problems. So instead of talking about me, and using the words like I or we, talk about you, talk about the customer, talk about what you can do for them. And that attitude is totally different, right? So I'll give you an example of how this works. Let's say you meet someone in person and all they talk about is themselves. They say, oh, I'm so rich, I'm so successful, my girlfriend's so pretty. And you're just thinking to yourself, man, this guy is full of it. I don't really want to talk to him. This is a complete waste of time, right? And in person, that totally makes sense. You can empathize with what I'm saying. But in email, sometimes you may not see that, and sometimes you may not realize that you're doing the exact same thing in the email. So instead of talking about yourself and how great your products and services are, like I said in point number 1, focus on the pain that you can solve for that specific person. And then instead of talking about how great you are, focus on how you can solve that problem and make that problem go away. So now you're in a position where you're helping somebody, you're offering your advice and expertise instead of trying to sell them on how great you are. Although it's a subtle difference in the approach, people can really feel the difference on a subconscious level, and they're gonna be a lot more likely to respond when they feel comfortable with who you are and they know that you're just not trying to sell them. And the last common cold email mistake most people make is that they have a very vague call to action. And when I say call to action, that just means what's at the end of the email? You know, what do you want the person you're sending that email or a LinkedIn message to actually do? So a lot of times I see a lot of people say something like, hey, are you interested? Let me know if you're interested. And it's just like, well, you know, people aren't gonna respond to that. What are they gonna say? Yes, I am interested, send me more information. Most people don't see that. Most people will just ignore your email. So instead of having a vague call to action, make it crystal clear on what you want the person to do. So if you want them to take a meeting, all you gotta do is say, hey, if it makes sense to talk, let me know what your calendar looks like. Or if it makes sense to talk, schedule a time to talk on my calendar here and then send your calendar link where they can click on it and schedule a time, right? So if you want a meeting, let the person know that you want a meeting. Make it very clear, have a certain funnel that the person goes through so it's more predictable on what the person will do. If you have a very vague call to action without any plan, you're just saying something like, let me know, nobody will let you know because why should they, right? There's no real incentive for them to do that, especially if your email's not good. But if you make it clear on what they should do, right, it's kind of like reminding them like, hey, book a time on my calendar, book a time on my calendar, book a time on my calendar. Eventually they get the message and they're gonna do it. So those are gonna be the 3 mistakes. Look at your previous LinkedIn messages and cold emails and audit yourself. Are you making these mistakes? And if you are, go ahead and fix them using what you learned in this video. And I'm confident that if you're making these mistakes and you correct them and you start bringing more value to your prospects, your response rates are definitely going to be better than whatever they were before. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notification if you want to see more videos every single week. And if you want to learn exactly what to write in that cold email line by line, I actually got another video about that, so make sure to check it out. So with that said, my name is Patrick Dang, and I will see you guys in the next one.